Right, 59, the nested if. Okay, you get this, you don't panic, you say, thank you for giving me marks, man. Just thank you for giving me those marks, man. Thank you, thank you, man, for giving those marks, man. Okay, nested if statement says, right, if they've worked less than 2 years, they're a newbie. If they've worked 2 to 4, they're classed as a middleman. Otherwise, they're classed as a top dog. Right. Just like with the normal if statement, if the first condition is not true, the second one has to be. That's kind of a true or false situation. But yeah, we've got more than two possibilities. So but it's going to work on a similar process. We're going to say, if this person's not a newbie, then we test if they're a top dog. And if they're neither of those two, they have to be a middleman. In other words, you don't have to do the last test, because if they're not newbie and they're not top dog, they have to be middleman. Okay, we're choosing those because those are pretty easy conditions to test for less than 2 and 5 or more. So we start off as if it was a normal if statement. So less than 2, let's go and look at that. Classification, if the number of years they've worked. Okay, while we're on this thing here, if you didn't manage to work out column I, you carry on with the formula. Okay, you don't leave it out. Each question's marked separately. Okay, so it's not marked on the answer, it's marked on the formula. Right, so we've got, if the number of years is, can't remember what the question was now, less than 2. Okay, if it's less than 2, then straightforward, they are a newbie. Okay, now normally with an if statement, with an if statement, we'd say, right, comma, and we put the false value. But here we're saying, right, if they're not a newbie, there's another possibility. There could be a top dog. Okay, there could be a top dog. So, if, start another if statement, if they've worked for at least 5 years, okay, 5 or more years, then they are a top dog. Okay, comma. Now we don't need to put another if statement, because if they're not a newbie and they're not a top dog, then they have to be middleman. Okay, I'm just going to call them MM for middleman. Don't be lazy like that. Okay, close your round brackets, because that's the first if statement. Close your round brackets again, because that's the second if statement. So we've got this little bit of a frightening thing, but it's just saying what the question said. If they work for less than 2 years, they're a newbie. Comma. If they work for more than 4, they work for 5 or more years, they're a top dog. Otherwise, they're a middleman. Okay, and always look at your data as well to check if it's working. Okay, if it's 3 years, they are middleman, that makes sense. Top dog, it's 5 or more. Top dog, 9. Okay, they haven't even worked a full year, so they're obviously newbies. And that's it. And you will score, if they ask you a question like that, that's like 6 marks. Okay, and it's an if statement within an if statement. Something goes wrong or goes weird, type the part that you can, just put an equal statement, just put a space in front of the equal statement, so that the marker can at least see you've actually tried the question by just putting that space bar in front of the equal sign. That's if you can't get the formula right. In other words, if you get some funny error and you're not sure what it is, don't leave, ever leave a formula blank.